Some horrors creep in so quietly, you never realize they've entered until they're already inside you. There's a certain kind of horror film that doesn't chase you, doesn't shout at you, doesn't demand your fear with spectacle or violence. Instead, it drifts toward you in silence, soft, patient, unblinking. These are the films that begin like gentle stories, wrapped in calm settings and harmless faces, until the quiet shifts and something cold settles beneath your skin. They don't use noise to frighten you. They use stillness. They let your imagination do the screaming. Tonight, we're uncovering 15 of these silent predators films that lull you into comfort before tightening their grip and breaking you in ways you never saw coming. Fact 1. Next of kin. 1982. Next of kin unravels like a whispered secret. After inheriting a remote retirement home, a young woman begins reading her late mother's journals, discovering cryptic entries about figures wandering the halls at night and events the staff refuses to discuss. The building itself feels suspended in time, its corridors too long, its rooms too still. As she probes deeper, strange patterns emerge. Water running on its own, lights dimming at precise moments, residents behaving as though they are following instructions no one gave them. The sense of something orchestrated, something hidden grows heavier with every step she takes. Violence does not erupt immediately. It simmers beneath the surface, waiting for its cue. And when the truth finally surfaces, it feels less like a revelation and more like a trap that has been closing around her from the very start. Some places don't want to be understood, they want to be obeyed. Fact 2. Dead of Night 1974. Grief has its own kind of haunting, and Dead of Night embodies it with chilling restraint. When a soldier killed in Vietnam suddenly returns home, his family welcomes him with trembling joy, but the son they embrace is distant, hollow, and unnervingly calm, as if only the outline of who he once was has come back. His presence brings a strange stillness to the house. Pets vanish, neighbors retreat, conversations die the moment he enters the room. He barely speaks, yet his silence carries the weight of something predatory. The family clings to hope, ignoring the signs that whatever returned from the battlefield is not the boy they lost. The film never confirms what he has become. It simply lets dread accumulate as his humanity slips further away. Some resurrections are worse than death. Fact 3. The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. 1976. Some stories hide their terror in plain sight. In The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, a quietly self-possessed young girl lives alone in a seaside home, answering questions with unsettling precision and guarding her privacy with polite firmness. Everything appears orderly, too orderly for someone her age, and that stillness becomes its own warning. Adults drift in and out of her world, sensing that something is fundamentally amiss. Their curiosity pushes them closer to the truth she is trying so carefully to protect. Every knock at the door, every lingering glance through a window, tightens the tension around her secret. The horror doesn't come from ghosts or monsters, but from the creeping realization that the danger surrounding her is human and that she may be more capable of meeting it than anyone suspects. Some homes stay quiet because silence is safer than the truth. Fact 4. The Reflecting Skin. 1990. Few films capture the terror of misunderstood childhood as exquisitely as this one. Set in a barren rural landscape drenched in blinding sunlight, The Reflecting Skin follows a young boy trying to make sense of a world where death and silence seem to shadow every adult around him. He invents monsters to fill the gaps left by their half-truths and hushed conversations. Most notably, the belief that a woman nearby is a vampire feeding on the innocent. This fantasy, born from confusion and fear, begins to blur with reality as tragedies unfold around him with terrible quiet. The landscape, though bright and open, feels suffocating. Every scene holds a tension that the boy himself cannot articulate, and as his innocence warps into something darker, the audience realizes the horror was never supernatural at all. Sometimes the brightest days cast the longest shadows. Fact 5. Messiah of Evil. 1973. This cult classic feels like a dream you don't remember entering. A young woman ventures into a coastal town searching for her missing father, only to discover a population drifting in eerie synchronization as though their souls have been replaced with something tidal, ancient, and patient. Shadows stretch too long across empty streets. People stand motionless under flickering lights, and the sea, glowing under an unnatural moon, seems to pulse with a will of its own. The film's most chilling moments arrive without warning. A figure watching from across a silent supermarket aisle, a stranger seated too still in a dark movie theater. Nothing screams, nothing jumps. The horror moves like a tide rolling in, slow enough to ignore until it's already at your feet. Some destinies aren't chosen, they're absorbed. Fact 6. The Other, 1972. Evil doesn't always enter a home from outside. Sometimes it's born within it. The Other drifts through a pastoral summer where twin brothers roam the fields with a kind of innocent freedom. Yet beneath this warm surface lies a tension so delicate that even the audience hesitates to disturb it. Strange accidents begin to occur, too frequent, too precise, too convenient to ignore. The boys share a secret game, a ritual that blurs fantasy and something darker. Their soft voices and gentle demeanors only make the unfolding tragedy feel more surreal, as if innocence itself has been corrupted from the inside out. The film never raises its voice. Instead, it slowly tightens its grip, revealing truths that feel inevitable once the final pieces fall into place. Not every monster hides in the dark. Some smile in the sunlight. Fact 7. Images, 1972. Reality can fracture quietly, leaving no audible break. In Images, Catherine retreats to the countryside, hoping to reclaim clarity. But instead, she becomes entangled in visions that slip into her life with the subtlety of a whispered thought. Figures appear behind her, vanish when she turns, then reappear in places they shouldn't be: calm, familiar, wrong. The landscape around her is serene, almost idyllic, yet it becomes the backdrop for an internal collapse she cannot escape. Conversations seem half-remembered, encounters repeat with unsettling variations. Her illusions and her truth overlap until neither the viewer nor Catherine herself can tell which version of events is genuine. The film resists dramatic reveals. Instead, it lets the dread seep through repetition and stillness, creating a spiral of uncertainty that tightens with each scene. Some horrors don't invade your world, they bloom from within it. Fact 8. Burnt Offerings, 1976. The terror in Burnt Offerings doesn't come from what the house does, it comes from how gently it does it. A family moves into a vast old mansion, expecting a peaceful summer retreat, but the home carries a hunger that grows quieter, not louder. As the days pass, rooms feel watchful, mirrors reflect more than they should, and every smile from the mother becomes slightly more strained. The house doesn't lash out, it drains, slowly, softly. It siphons life through small shifts, a sudden chill in a bright room, a portrait that seems to change when no one is looking, a locked door that refuses to stay closed. Each member of the family reacts differently, unraveling in ways that feel disturbingly natural. By the time the truth surfaces, the house's transformation is undeniable. Vibrant, healthy, renewed. While the family has withered in its shadow, some homes don't haunt, they feed. Fact 9. Picnic at Hanging Rock, 1975. Some disappearances echo louder because they happen without a single sound. Picnic at Hanging Rock begins as a gentle school outing, sunlit fields, soft breezes, polite laughter drifting through the afternoon air. Everything feels untouched, almost sacred. And perhaps that's the first warning. When several girls wander into the towering rock formations and fail to return, the world doesn't erupt in panic. It empties out. The school's halls grow hollow. The remaining students whisper, and the adults grasp for answers that never arrive. Nature offers nothing. No footprints, no torn fabric, just the same warm afternoon frozen in time, as if the earth quietly swallowed them. The power of the film lies in its refusal to explain. It leaves a wound where a conclusion should be, inviting dread to settle into the silent space it creates. Some mysteries don't need resolution. Their silence is the horror. Fact 10. The Innocents, 1961. This haunting classic wraps its terror in elegance and restraint. A governess arrives at a sprawling estate to care for two seemingly angelic children, only to sense that the house and perhaps the children themselves carry secrets too heavy for their soft voices. The beauty of the surroundings only amplifies the chill beneath them. Apparitions appear at a distance, frozen figures on rooftops, silhouettes lingering by the lake. They never move toward her. They simply stand, watching, as if waiting for her to acknowledge something she already fears. The children speak in gentle tones, but their smiles hide an intimacy with the supernatural that feels deeply wrong. The film never gives definitive answers. It leaves the viewer teetering between a ghost story and a psychological unraveling, unsure whether the governess is seeing spirits or losing her grip on reality. In The Innocents, silence becomes a language and it speaks of dread. Fact 11. The Night God Screamed, 1971. This unsettling tale unfolds like a whisper stretched too thin. After witnessing a ritualistic killing committed by a fanatical cult, a woman is placed in protective custody inside a quiet house, but the silence of the place feels far from safe. Shadows lean too close. Doors breathe open. The night outside seems to press against the walls like a rising tide. Instead of showing the cult's presence, the film weaponizes absence. No one is visible, but someone is always near. Every flicker of light, every shift in the air, feels like a warning she can't decipher. Fear grows from the unknown who is outside, how many there are, and whether they've already slipped inside without a sound. Violence erupts only in brief, sudden bursts, framed by long stretches of unbearable stillness. It's as if the house itself is holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable. Some threats announce themselves loudly. Others walk in on quiet feet. Fact 12. The Strangeness, 1985. Some places feel wrong before you ever see the reason why. The Strangeness follows a group descending into an abandoned mine, their flashlights cutting narrow paths through damp, silent tunnels. There's no rush, no immediate danger, just an unsettling stillness, as though the earth itself is waiting for them to trespass too far. What makes the film so unnerving isn't the creature hiding in the dark, but the darkness itself. Sounds vanish instead of echoing. Footsteps seem swallowed by the air. Every corner feels like a throat narrowing around them. The mind behaves less like a structure and more like a living thing, determining who may leave. When the creature eventually appears, its uncanny stop-motion movements don't feel like a reveal, they feel like confirmation. The tunnels were never empty. Something has been watching, choosing its moment with patience humans cannot comprehend. The horror here isn't the monster, it's the realization that the silence was never natural. Fact 13. Let's Scare Jessica to Death, 1971. Few films dissolve reality with the same quiet elegance as this one. Recently released from psychiatric care, Jessica tries to rebuild her life in a secluded lakeside home, but the serenity she seeks becomes a mirror for her deepest fears. Strange footprints by the water, whispers that drift through empty rooms, and a mysterious girl who appears without explanation. All of them slip past Jessica's fragile calm. The film's unease is born from its softness. Conversations linger a beat too long. Smiles appear where they shouldn't. Even sunlight feels haunted. Jessica's internal world and the external threats around her overlap until the viewer no longer knows which is collapsing faster, her sanity or her. There is no dramatic explosion, no definitive answer to what haunts her. Instead, the story spirals gently, pulling Jessica and the audience into a slow drowning of doubt and paranoia. Some nightmares don't come to tear you apart, they come to unmake your certainty. Fact 14. Something Evil, 1972. This early television film hides its menace beneath soft rural charm. A family settles into a farmhouse where the wind carries strange murmurs and a jar of crimson liquid seems to pulse with life. At first, these details feel insignificant, easy for anyone to dismiss. But something evil turns these minor disturbances into cracks. In a fragile world, the family thinks they understand. The mother becomes increasingly attuned to whatever lurks in the quiet corners of the house. A faint humming disturbs her at night, drifting through locked rooms and still air. Spielberg's direction keeps the tension muted, letting dread snowball naturally as the line between possession, imagination, and unseen forces blurs. The film never confirms what stalks the family. It merely nudges the viewer toward darker possibilities. The horror works because it denies resolution, leaving the audience stranded in the same ambiguity that consumes the characters. Sometimes the most frightening evil is the one that never introduces itself. Fact 15. The Appointment, 1981. Some stories begin with a warning no one is willing to hear. The Appointment moves with the calm of an overcast afternoon, following a father who senses a force closing in on his daughter but can't explain how he knows. His world remains outwardly normal, quiet roads, soft conversations. gentle routines, yet every moment trembles with an unnamed presence, pushing in from the edges. The film thrives on what it withholds. Long stretches of uneasy silence make even the most mundane rooms feel occupied. There are no monsters stepping into view, no loud confrontations, just the creeping certainty that something has already chosen its next victim. The father's visions arrive in fragmented pieces, more like intrusions than dreams, hinting at a fate he's powerless to divert. As events inch forward, the film's restraint becomes its sharpest weapon. The tension never erupts, it just accumulates, layer by layer, until the ending feels less like a twist and more like the fulfillment of a prophecy no one believed. Some horrors don't need volume, they just need time. Bonus film: The Haunting of Julia, 1977. Grief can hollow a person so completely that something else finds room to move in. The Haunting of Julia follows a mother shattered by tragedy, drifting through her new home as though she's only partially present. The world continues around her softly, politely, but the spaces she inhabits feel bruised by sorrow. Little disturbances begin to fill those spaces. A faint giggle echoing down an empty hallway, a door easing shut as if guided by a small hand, a photograph shifting its angle without being touched. None of these moments are violent. They're gentle enough to dismiss, until they accumulate into a pattern that feels unmistakably purposeful. Neighbors whisper about the building's history. Julia uncovers fragments of a child's life cut short, and the pieces draw her deeper into a story that mirrors her own pain with eerie precision. Whether she's being haunted by a restless spirit or by the weight of her own loss becomes impossible to untangle. As the final truths emerge, they don't crash, they settle, quiet and devastating. Some hauntings aren't born from malice. They're born from wounds that never had the chance to heal. If these quiet horrors unsettled you, remember this: the loudest nightmares aren't always the ones that stay with you. It's the quiet ones, the slow, creeping ones that linger after the lights go out. If you want to keep exploring the shadows with us, follow the channel, share your thoughts below, and tell us which silent terror whispered to you the longest. Until our next descent, stay alert, stay cautious, and never trust the calm before the break.